Carpets Plus Studios. It's Nordo in for PA. PA returning tomorrow from an exotic paradise for the Friday feast. But it's me, Nordo. It's Max Fuller today.
Hey.
And kicking off 9 to noon, he was already in the building hanging out with the Power Trip. And texting with him yesterday, he was already, I'm like, can you just hang out? I haven't seen this guy in a couple of months. Parker Fox remaining in studio. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Great to be here.
How was this trip out west?
Yeah.
Football team goes west, handles business. Yep. Now the Hoop Squad does the same thing. How fun was it out in L.A. over the last week?
I think we got to keep adding teams from the West Coast into the Big Ten because it's going good for the football and basketball squads, that's for sure. But no, super fun. Obviously, you think about going out to L.A. and that itself, kind of pumps you up, especially when it was negative 10 degrees here every morning. So
yeah.
Seeing a little sun. We had some guys with some sunburns actually from walking the beach. But at the end of the day, you're there to take care of business, and that's something we did. We went 2-0 and getting wins over a prestigious school like UCLA is sweet, and then an up-and-coming, really talented USC team. So kind of just like really a complete trip. It's funny when you put it that way because you never know when you go out and you do all that traveling and you're somewhere for 4 or 5 days and it wears on your body. But I think it showed the guts and the resilience of our team.
No doubt about it. Now, I was listening to Ben Johnson yesterday. Yeah. We have the coaches show here on Wednesdays, and I heard him talking with Grimm about some time that you guys as a team got to go out and just chill and enjoy yourselves. What'd you do?
Yeah, we did the Santa Monica Pier, which I hadn't done in probably 15 years being out there. We started the day out with some yoga on the lawn, and it was the funniest deal because we had some homeless guys heckling us.
Okay.
So our strength coach was like, hold the pose, and then this homeless guy from 100 yards away was like, hold it. It was hilarious. So we were just dying doing this yoga, and then they gave us some free time to kind of roam the beach, and they said not to go in the water too much because of the runoffs from the fire and everything. But we had some guys, hopping in and surfing the waves, and
sure.
Did the muscle beach with the rope climbs and all that kind of stuff, and then finished it out with a nice lunch on the pier. So got a little ceviche, something you don't really get in Minnesota as much, and we had a blast. Just kind of being able to put hoops aside for a couple hours and just live in the moment and have a good time with your friends is pretty fun.
Now, you could almost at this time be a tour guide, right?
True.
You were out there for the ESPYs, red carpet, swag bags, all of that. You got to show everybody around, I assume?
Yeah, something like that. LA is so dang big that you never know. But we were in two different places. Obviously, we were downtown, staying downtown for USC, and then we moved out to Beverly Hills for the UCLA game, and then our former teammate from last year, Cam Christie, who's with the Clippers out there in LA.
He meet up with you guys at all?
Yeah, we ended up having practice at their facility, the Intuit Dome, which is unbelievable. It's obviously brand new, but the whole facility is just crazy. And then he met up with us there. It's All-Star break, so he was just kind of chilling, going through workouts, all that kind of stuff. So it was good to see him. Good to see what they're doing, and just really cool to see that facility out there in LA. So
that must have been a bad beat for Cam, because Cam gets drafted. He goes out to LA. And you mentioned the Clippers. Well, his brother plays for the Lakers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's awesome. I mean, how cool, and kind of the story of those two being able to join each other out west. Well, then Max gets traded to the Mavs.
Well, it's so easy for their parents.
Roommate situation, dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Mom and dad visits.
Yeah, one
more
flight
complicated
versus 2 flights, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, he was super cool for him to initially go out there, LA, have his brother out there, and then he's on to greener pastures, hopefully, for Max out there in Dallas.
So where's your head at on this as a player, Parker, where outsiders like me, and I'm sure you've heard it, it's like, 0-6 to start the Big Ten. What's going on here? There's all sorts of negativity. And then now you go 6 of 9, and there are those of us on the outside that are going, where did this come from?
Yeah.
How the heck did this happen? How is this possible? I think Patterson season high against USC,
awesome.
And then Dawson Garcia, as good as he's been already, kind of elevated to another level in this comeback win against UCLA the other day. So, where's your head on that as a player, where our expectations and how we perceive things, I imagine, are a little bit different than what's happening inside the locker room?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, the cliche answer is, we're taking every day one by one. We're trying to win every single day, 1-0 every single day. That's the cliche answer. But, at the same time, we're a pretty realistic group. We're a group of, I think we're one of the oldest teams in college basketball. We got a bunch of graduate students. We got a bunch of seniors.
How much are you weighing down that average?
Yeah, I'm hurting.
Skewing the numbers.
I'm on the hurting side. I actually found out that I'm not the oldest, though, in college basketball. I'm the second oldest. There's a kid at BYU who went on the mission and had been hurt, who's a 1998 baby. So he's got me by a couple months. So not the oldest, but definitely hurting those numbers. But no, like you said, I think it's just a group that just wants to win, and we're old, and we know that this is our last go around when it comes to college hoops and trying to find ways to win basketball games. And it's never pretty. And, you look at our wins and they've all been tight. We beat Michigan by 3. We beat Iowa by 5. We were on Oregon. We beat them by 8. You beat USC by 3, UCLA by 3. So it's just kind of a trend with the Big Ten. It's never going to be easy. And, now we put ourselves in a position where you went to LA and you win too. You got to look at, you got to celebrate it, but you also got to look at what's next. And Penn State is coming in here on Saturday. A Penn State team that just beat a really good Nebraska team by 20. So it's there's never a night off. And I think, the common fan will look at this and be like, okay, you got 2 home teams against the 2, quote unquote, worst teams in the league at the bottom of the Big Ten. These should be easy wins. And it's maybe, but also you got to take care of business. Today we have to have an awesome day in practice that takes us to tomorrow, where we have another awesome day. And then we're able to, take care of business on Saturday at 1:00 at the barn.
Feeling battle tested with some of these wins, by the way. I mean, the way that I've kind of watched these things is it's almost as if just keep it close. Just keep it close into that final 10-minute stretch, and you guys keep finding ways. I mean, that's got to be a massive confidence builder.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we've kind of, prided ourselves on, and it's something that we've honestly coached that way, where it's hey, we don't know what a team's going to throw at us right away. We went into USC with, they're a weird team. They do some weird stuff defensively. Eric Musselman's kind of, got a weird strategy about him. We didn't know what they were going to throw at us. And they kind of blitzed us from the jump. We were going underneath ball screens and a guy that didn't shoot the ball well, and he hits 2 threes to start the game. And offensively, we couldn't put the ball in the hoop to start. So it's okay, this isn't going right. How can we adjust? How can we rewind? And I think that, it's a credit to our coaching staff, but it's also a credit to, the depth and the experience that we have on the offense and defensive side of the ball.
So you mentioned Parker Fox in studio, Gopher Hoops, the elder statesman for the Maroon and Gold, weighing down the team average age. He's in studio to start 9 to noon. You can also hear him with the Power Trip. I don't know, is that going to become... Is the schedule, do we know what the schedule shapes out? Are we going to be making that a more regular thing?
I hope so. I really do hope so. Obviously, you're in the heart of a season and it's tough, but as much as I can get in here, I love to come and hang out. And, a lot of our stuff usually isn't till the afternoon. Today we don't start till about 1:15. So that allows me some time to go home, get a nice little meal in me, and then, go about my day.
Penn State, you mentioned them. They're next up. It's a matinee affair at the barn on Saturday. You just faced him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
What changes in such a short period of time? I mean, ultimately, you guys win games doing your thing. They win games doing theirs. You beat them the first time around. Mm-hmm. How much chess is being played with such a quick turnaround? As you don't get a full week to game plan these situations. They're going to look at what you did against USC and UCLA, and vice versa. You're going to look at what they did against Nebraska and prior and everything in between. What changes?
Well, I think the biggest thing that changes is their starting center's back. Didn't have him at Penn State, so that's something that is definitely a big change. When we played out there, they decided to go small, so we played more of a four guard lineup around Dawson Garcia being kind of our big man. That'll probably change a little bit with their 7-footer back, Niederhauser. And then, the biggest thing is they're a team that, wants to press. They want to get in passing lanes. They want to jump. They want to score 80 points. And we're a team that wants to slow it down a little bit more, score in the high 60s, control the game on the defensive end, pound away on the offensive end. But I think it changes a little bit, but we're back at home. And I think if you're able to go somewhere and get a win, that gives you confidence coming back home to say, hey, we won at their place. How can we find a way to win at our place as well?
I got to ask this, and it might not, text line, 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line.
Yeah.
I got this one. You guys may already know this, but I think I heard Parker say that today is his birthday. Is today your birthday?
It is. It's 26. Yeah.
Look at that. 26.
26 off the parents' health insurance, baby. Big one.
Yeah, say goodbye to the dentist,
tough moment for you.
Tough moment. Tough moment, man.
Now, but you get covered at least from an athletics perspective.
We get
from
some
the
stuff
program.
from the program.
You got another year eligibility in you?
Unless they can find me one, I'm all out. I used them all up. I don't know. I feel like they're handing them out like candy on Halloween these days, though. So
doesn't it feel that way? Because when you were talking about the average, and all jokes aside, I was looking, and I just searched because I had heard of there was a punter or somebody in college football.
Miami, right?
Well, there's a guy, a kicker at Miami. He's like 27, 28. Yeah. There's a kicker for Virginia, Matt Ganyard. He's 34 years old.
34?
34 years old. And
God.
Yeah, there's a punter that's, let me see here. There's a punter that's 31. There's another kicker that's 32. So you're not alone. You're not alone in just enjoying maybe a bit more or a bit longer of a college experience.
Yeah. Our own Mark Crawford at the U, punter. He's 30 years old as well, the Aussie.
There we go. There we go. He's the elder statesman for Flex Squad. Now
crazy.
Three of the final five are at home. You've had a couple of home losses in a row. Can you recapture that Oregon energy starting this Saturday?
Yeah, I definitely think we can. I think, you play an Illinois team that blitzes you at home. The one before that was a Washington team that's the one where we got to look at and be like, we got to take care of business. Washington, one of the bottom teams in our league, but also it's like I said earlier, anybody can beat anybody on every night. It's the Big Ten. I think it's the toughest league in the country. Just the physicality that comes with the league, the scheming, the game plan. But at the end of the day, we want Williams Arena to be a place where we're feeling comfortable, feeling energetic. And I think people are going to be really excited seeing our two wins against UCLA and USC, and hopefully they come out in numbers on Saturday because it's a different environment when the barn is packed versus when it's a little bit more quiet.
How's Ben Johnson been through all of this? I hear him on a weekly basis doing the Gophers show and all of that, but he's got to handle the 0-6 and then what has happened since then. How's the coach been throughout it? Yeah,
I mean, he's been great. He's so even keeled. He's never too high, never too low, which is tough in that business. I think when you look at coaching and all the stressors that they go through, it's really easy to get on a roller coaster and high and low, and Ben's just really that steady state. And I think that's something that kind of it kind of trickles down to our team, where if you look at us on a day-to-day basis, nobody's ever too high and nobody's ever too low. And I think that's something that we really pride ourselves on, and that comes from the top. So, there's days where you got to get on people, and there's days where you got to, maybe have a looser string, and it depends on the player, it depends on the guy, and that just is the emotional intelligence that comes with coaching. But I think coach has done a really good job of kind of being that steady keel for us, and really looking excited to practice today, because I think we're going to have a really good one, which is preparing ourselves for Saturday.
Last thing for you here. When are we going to hear more howling with the homies?
Man, right?
Are you kidding me with this?
We got to keep these Wolves winning. We got to get
Wolves
ourselves
back
out of
on
this.
Friday.
Wolves back on Friday. The NBA's back. Looking forward to it. Obviously, whatever your thoughts are on All-Star break, I obviously love it. I'm a hoops guy. I love watching the dunk contest and all that kind of stuff. Common fan probably doesn't, and I understand it. But you're looking forward to the Wolves being back, and looking forward to hopefully being back in Target Center with old Max over there hollering with the homies.
Oh, for sure. Parker, real quick, what do you think about the ideas floating around about a one-on-one tournament being in the NBA All-Star game? I love it.
I love it too. I think if you do it, you got to find a way to make it worth it. These guys are making so much dang money that, a trip to Cabo for 4 or 5 days sounds about as good as playing in a one-on-one tournament. But we saw Unrivaled do it, the women's league. Nafisa Collier won the $200,000. I think it was the biggest payout in women's sports history. Loved watching it. Just one-on-one. If you're a basketball junkie, if you put two guys one-on-one, like just the skill level, to see like a Kyrie versus a Kevin Durant, like that would be absolutely unbelievable.
Well, and like random people, it's a totally different game.
Oh, for sure,
someone like Jamal Crawford would have cooked in a one-on-one tournament. I know that's not what the NBA wants.
Busy Bones Highland. That's That's the name I will give you right there. Busy Bones Highland. I would take him at whatever to win that one-on-one tournament. No, I think it'd be fun. It's a different game. Basketball is obviously such a team sport, but you put the one-on-one setting, that would be energetic.
Well, here, you mentioned All-Star Weekend, and you're right. It gets to be. It's not entertaining to me. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a fan, but I wouldn't say that I'm a junkie appreciating the nuance and the way, kind of framing it up. Like, the dunk contest is cool because Max McClung jumps over a car.
So cool.
But then I feel bad for Max because he has to go back to like Osceola or whatever G League team.
Right.
He gets to lift the trophy. I think he's done it 3 years in a row. And they're like, all right, go back to the Ramada.
Right, go back to the dungeon.
Yeah, correct.
I think he's made like double his G League salary winning dunk contest.
Yes, and so it's become actually an income source for the Max McClungs of the world. So Max cares about it.
Yeah.
LeBron can't even put on the uniform for a team photo.
Dang, man.
So there's a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
But it is, in the end, anytime you get all those names together.
Yeah, it's fun.
But you mentioned Kyrie. I mean, just to watch him, what do you what do you have to do to get him to care in that spot?
Yeah.
But the handles.
It's some of these guys, man, the talent level is just like something. And you look at like a Wembanyama. It's just like this league it's so dang talented, and it's so fun for me to watch.
Absolutely. You're fun to watch. Your team's fun to watch. Good luck against Penn State, and thanks for doing an extra shift this morning to kick off 9 to noon, man.
Yeah, have a great show. Appreciate it.
That's Parker Fox. Eventually, we will hear Howlin' with the homies, and you get to hear him, of course, with the power trip when he's able to with the busy Gopher schedule. But he kicks off the TimberTech set list 9 to noon, brought to you by TimberTech, timbertech.com. First Covenant cleanup, as an aside, by the way, Mac McClung. My apologies for misnaming. But Parker Fox kicks off the show. We got Russo at 9:40. He's out in Boston. USA v. Canada tonight, 7 p.m. We saw it on Saturday. Close to 10 million people watched USA Canada on Saturday night. It'll be a fun affair tonight out east. Looking forward to that with Russo. Lieber in studio at 10, heavy on the Vikings with the combine around the corner. Vikings bits into free agency. That momentum starting to pick up after kind of a week-long pause, just like the NHL and NBA. John Bonus, Twins Geek, Twins Daily, and Zone Coverage. He's going to join from Fort Myers at 11 o'clock. We'll talk about the baseball team. And John Hines, head coach of the Minnesota Wild, but also assistant coach for Team USA. He's going to bookend the show at around 11:40. Max Fuller produces, and I'm Eric Nordquist, Nordo, in for PA 9 to noon. Around the corner, Max is going to take us through some Vikes Bites!
Vikes Bites! And before we go to break, I got some cash to give away.
Wait a minute, we got cash keywords again?
We do got the cash keywords again.
What else can we do for you?
They are back. The fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword cash. Hey, that's easy. At KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword cash. Enter it now at KFAN.com. Listen up, Minnesota. Comedian Nate Bargatze is bringing a second night of laughs to the XL Energy Center. Don't miss out on the hilarity when he takes the stage on Sunday, July 27th with the Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. Tickets are available now. Get all of the details right now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. Combine next week. Free agency early March. We got contract void dates being extended. We got levers that can be pulled on contracts moving forward, maybe knock down some numbers. It's going to be quite a busy offseason and a busy spring for a general manager that has yet to receive a contract extension. Very weird. Very weird indeed. So we kick off that with Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites is brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can go to the website, Clearwater, Minnesota Company. Clearwater, Minnesota's finest. Thousand Hills. Matt and everybody there do a terrific job. Nutrient-dense meat. It tastes delicious. Regenerative agriculture. You can learn about that on the website. Stuff for a guy like me to speak to it at a high level. So you can learn about it on the website. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep if you shop there. Local Coburn's, Co-ops, and Kowalski's locations as well. And we just had Parker Fox in, and he's a Gopher athlete. And Thousand Hills, proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics. Gophers athletes eating Thousand Hills on their training tables. That's pretty cool. Max Fuller produces and leads us in Vikes Bites. What's the first stop, Max?
First stop is actually with a former Viking, Nordo. Yesterday, Cam Dantzler of Cam Dantzler, What Are You Doing fame, tweeted, "Man, I'm 195 and healthy. Can't wait to get back on the field this spring."
Really?
Last couple of years, it seems, Cam Dantzler spent, at least the last year, he was with the San Antonio Brahmas, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the Memphis Showboats. So I'm assuming he's meaning that he's hoping to get back on an NFL field.
Yeah, I would gather that too. It does. Yes, he is currently under contract. It appears with the Memphis Showboats, so that's nice.
Highly touted franchise.
Yes, highly touted. And he was about 10 yards off of Beale Street based on some of the coverage things that some issues that we had seen with Cam during his time here. The reason I said really and I paused and then you continued reading that is I had to refresh my memory in terms of all of those teams you mentioned because in 2023 he does hit the Commanders, as you said. And then it was kind of hot potato for that season as he spent time on the practice squads of not just the Commanders, but the Bills, the Texans, the Saints, as you said, the Brahmas. Can't forget about the Brahmas.
Can't forget about the Brahmas.
He spent 2024 there and then even jumped up to Canada with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and now with the aforementioned Showboats. That would be so, and this is no offense or indictment to Cam Dantzler, but we saw what we saw here. And Cam Dantzler, What Are You Doing? Of course, that's prime time in Seattle, where on a 4th and 10, Cam Dantzler and the Lights completely loses track of DK Metcalf as part of a comeback game-winning drive for the Seattle Seahawks. DK, I believe, caught that touchdown as well. I think that was the game where Alexander Mattison had two choices in his life at that point. Go left or go right. One decision leads to an easy touchdown. At the least, the 4th down conversion. The other one, which happens to be the decision he made, is actually just go and get stuffed for a loss of a yard. We do not convert. Russell Wilson, better in those stages than he is today, found his way down the field for a game-winning score. So that's the Cam Dantzler, What Are You Doing? Then we have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Remember him? Just got paid a little bit by the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
There was a point in time where the Lions were not vying for NFC supremacy, right?
Yeah.
I think they were just actually vying to win a game.
Yeah, most of my lifetime, that's where the Lions have been at.
And they were still there a few years ago when they had not won a game for like an entire calendar year. And the paper bags in Detroit, they recycle. They just cut the holes out and use the bags as masks. So again, very, very green city in Detroit, reusing said paper bags. And it was latter stages. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, game's on the line. They get the playoff according to everybody. And it was Cam Dantzler who backpedaled basically into the crowd and gave up the front side of the end zone to Amon-Ra St. Brown. You remember that match?
I do remember that, unfortunately. I wish I didn't, but I do.
So he had those moments with us. Now, with that said, people have a right to a redemption tour.
Yeah.
So I don't root against Cam Dantzler. But when the redemption tour includes practice squad stints on the Washington Commanders, the Buffalo Bills, the Houston Texans, and the New Orleans Saints, all within the 2023 season, that might tell you where other teams, 4 other franchises, all decided that the redemption tour would not start here. So I wish him, it's good to hear that he's in shape, and we did indeed have high hopes. Is it Ole Miss or Mississippi State? I think it was Mississippi State. 3rd round.
Yep.
And
Mississippi State.
I now got that in front of me. Yeah.
Starkville, baby.
And that was in 2020. That was the Justin Jefferson draft. And at the time you're thinking we got Jets in the 1st round. And then we also was that the Jeff Gladney draft. Jeff Gladney sadly losing his life, but I need to get this in front of me here. just remembering, because the way that we were summing up this,
2020.
there we go. So you get Jets at 22, and then you end up getting back in, and you get Jeff Gladney at 31. At the time, and this is as we kind of try to judge, and in the 11 o'clock hour, you got some needs for your Titans, right?
I do. Hopefully we have the entire 11 o'clock hour.
So, but sadly we don't. This might be this is a multi-part series.
Docu-series.
Yes, correct. And it's going to be ugly.
It's going to be really ugly.
It's going to be ugly. I don't know if there's going to be a good ending to this one.
There certainly is not.
It's going to be a lot of tears, though. Bring your tissues. But this is, so whether we're summing up Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah or any GM and what's in front of the new decision maker in Nashville for the Titans, like at the time, I remember doing draft shows with Saucy, and we will these guys into prominence. We mentally, okay, if this works out, this is going to be amazing. But for a team with its needs after the 2020 draft, you couldn't believe what we were able to accomplish in the first round. Spielman and Zim are laughing in the virtual draft room at the Philadelphia Eagles for drafting Jalen Reagor. We got Justin Jefferson. Now that has obviously worked out. And then you come back with Jeff Gladney. Loved him, shut down corner, maybe a little bit undersized, but he can play at TCU. And then, well, what do we make of this Ezra Cleveland? Is he going to bounce inside to guard? Is he going to be a left tackle? How are we going to use Ezra? We know how that played out. He moves inside to guard. We end up trading him for, I think, a 6th-round pick or something like that to the Jaguars. Jags liked him enough to re-up him. And now here we are talking about getting 2 new guards in the 2025 offseason. But that's a different conversation. But you were looking at Ezra Cleveland and that talent. Cam Dantzler was part of that. Cam Dantzler, you felt in some ways, okay, he's the long and athletic. We've used that a few different times to describe athletes in this market. And you felt so good about it. I didn't really know much about Wanham or James Lynch at the time. Troy Dye kind of looked, coming out of college, like a high school player putting his older brother's pads on.
Yeah.
Just didn't inspire a lot of confidence when he would run onto the field, but all the same. And KJ, you get him late. Kane! This time slot, we like saying, Kane! Whenever we draft someone from Miami. Oh, Josh Metellus in the 6th. That's worked out as well. But that was kind of dream weaving through that. Cam Dantzler was a part of that. And it didn't work out. And so best of luck to him. It sounds like he's healthy. That's great. Is this post to say that he's not happy with the Memphis Showboats? Like that, he'll be on a field.
Right.
That might not be the field that he's referring to, I suppose.
I would assume not. Maybe there's trouble in paradise. You think it's a match made in heaven between Cam Dantzler and the Memphis Showboats.
Best of luck to Cam Dantzler. Vikes Bites!
Vikes Bites! From one former Viking to another, former Vikings punter Chris Kluwe was arrested during a city council meeting in Huntington Beach on a Tuesday. I believe the charge was disturbing the peace. There was a political angle to it that kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah, didn't the Huntington Beach... Is this the city office or city hall? There was something about a plaque.
City council. Yep, they had a plaque that said something along the lines...
So it was an acronym that...
It was an acronym that also made the acronym MAGA. But it wasn't the acronym MEGA or MAGA. And so
are you MEGA or MAGA?
I gotta go MAGA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm MEGA.
MEGA?
Yeah. I like either way.
That works. Too.
Niche or niche? Or niche?
I'm niche.
I'm niche.
Oh.
Okay.
Are you couponer or coupon?
Well, coupon.
Yeah, right?
Who says coupon?
There's people that say coupon.
Yeah, okay.
Or coupon.
Yeah, we don't interact with those people. The coupons.
But yeah, there was a similar acronym going on, and Chris Kluwe interrupted the meeting, and I believe he ended up literally getting carried out by the authorities.
Well, yeah, and this, many Vikings fans will remember the time when he was still here with the Purple. Mike Prefer made awful comments. Excuse me 1 second. He made awful comments in a position room, I think, with the special teamers about gays and an island and nuking it and all of that, if I remember correctly.
Jesus.
And so he kind of came forward with that and was kind of burst into a spotlight. I can't remember whether it was Deadspin or somebody, but somebody put out a big article on it. And Prefer ultimately, I think, was suspended for the comments. Fast forward, I have to be honest, no disrespect to Chris Kluwe, I forgot about Chris Kluwe. But given, it wasn't necessarily a situation where he just speaks out about something he hates. I mean, that's a good thing. If you use that freedom of speech to get loud about something if you're against it, that's awesome. Protesting a plaque at a city hall in SoCal, I didn't know where he was at or where he's living or what he was doing. So that's what he's up to, I guess. I don't know what else to say other than that. After he played, it felt like he wanted to use his platform and his voice to get out there and I don't know if I'd call him an activist per se, but he was about causes and he was about supporting groups of people and then he just disappeared. So I don't know what Kluwe's up to now other than getting arrested for protesting a plaque at a city council meeting. But in the end, I think he's already been released, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. He did his thing. He got arrested and everybody moves on. A mega plaque.
A mega plaque.
Yeah. What were it was like magnificence. Do you have
I had it up here for a second. Let me see if I can find it. Magical, alluring, galvanizing, and adventurous. Which does kind of sound like an excuse to use the acronym in the sense that I don't know what they were promoting.
So magical,
alluring, galvanizing, and adventurous. It sounds like Disneyland.
Why not for the heck of it? I don't know. 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line. Do you prefer magical, alluring, galvanizing, and I apologize.
And adventurous.
Do you like that acronym or do you like Make America Great Again? Which acronym sounds better to you? Which makes more sense in a city hall building? Tell us. 64686, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line.
Yeah, I'm sure all of those texts are going to be completely reasonable as well.
No, but Chris was a fun personality on the team, and he's out there obviously trying to get his voice heard. So best of luck to Cam Dantzler. And of course, cheers to Chris Kluwe and his endeavors as well. Vikes Bites!
Vikes Bites! We're obsessed with lists, especially around this time of the year when it comes to the NFL. And Sports Illustrated released an early ranking of all the 32 teams in the NFL. And the Vikings were ranked 8th, the 8th best team in the NFL, which doesn't sound too bad if you're a Vikings fan. But considering the fact that the Packers are number 6. That doesn't make any sense. The Commanders are 7, Packers are 6, and the top 5 is exactly who you think it is.
Is there any explanation as to why the Packers would be 6th?
I think it's just a potential thing, injuries thing. But to have the Packers above the Commanders is ludicrous to me, and to have the Packers multiple above the Vikings, I don't think that's very accurate either.
I don't think it's accurate. I think you're right that it's leaning heavy on probably the MCL sprain to Jordan Love early in the season, which, by the way, Malik Willis comes in and wins a couple of games for him in that stretch. And he put up nearly 400 yards of offense, almost most of it in the second half, to nearly come back and bite the Vikings at the wire once he got his legs underneath him in the second half. So I don't lean on that MC. I think that's an excuse.
Yeah, me too.
And that Jordan Love absolutely, when healthy in 2024, regressed mightily. Now, that defense, I mean, it wasn't just him in the same way that we would talk about Sam Darnold in the Rams game and the O-line and the issues that exist with our favorite team. It wasn't just Jordan Love. Rashawn Gary had an absolute awful year. Effectively across the board defensively, they had issues at various times. And so as much as they were loving what Josh Jacobs was doing, they just couldn't get enough stops in the right spots. And that caused issues for him. So there was a regression, not just with Jordan Love, but in other areas as well. So they have some moves to make, just like we do. The only thing that I would say is the fact that we are potentially, and it's looking that way. Again, Vikings can go out and prove me wrong any moment and tag or extend Sam Darnold. But if you are going to be pragmatic about the issues that exist with the Packers, which are numerous, this 4 wide receiver embarrassment of riches thing. That's not the case, Packers fans. And you got to keep that duo of tight ends healthy in the long term, and you definitely need to get better defensively. But it's a good team. It's a playoff team, obviously. With the Vikings, do you put the Vikings behind the Packers because J.J. McCarthy is likely to start in 2025?
That might be why.
I think that's probably why. But yeah, in some ways, I guess it surprises me given how the Vikings performed this season. I think they are a better roster in totality, but that quarterback spot means a lot. And theirs needs to have a much better season than he did, given his financial commitment from the team. And our guy, well, opening act, week 1, 2025. Will it be in Dublin? Will it be in Sao Paulo? Will it be in London? How about that? The chance to travel again. I would prefer not, personally.
You're not into the international games very much?
I doing fan line, I don't get to do kegs and eggs.
That is true.
And for Vikings fans, I don't want to take that away from you. If you're big into kegs and eggs, then in that case, I'm hoping that you get paid off with that. But I know it's an away game either. So ultimately, it would be against the Steelers or the Chargers, and I forget who the third team is. But the idea of doing the international travel, I'm just not in love with it myself. But that's just me. Could this team are the Packers magnificent? Are they alluring?
Alluring, magical, even.
I know Football Americana. I think it's galvanizing. You go to Lambeau, that's galvanizing.
That's pretty galvanizing.
There's no
right
doubt,
there.
and certainly seeing all the roadkill, seeing the Dells, seeing Shopko, and all the toilet paper mills. That's adventurous.
Certainly. I bet going to a Walmart in Green Bay is a hell of an adventure.
So they should put that plaque up at Lambeau. See what happens there over in Wisconsin. You got another Vike Bite?
I do indeed. Vikes Bites. I got a couple general NFL nuggets, but I might save those for the news a little bit later. A Bleacher Report article came out with the most important target for each team, and they listed cornerback DJ Reed of the New York Jets, who apparently...
For the Vikings.
Yeah, they said he should be the number one target that the Vikings are targeting during free agency, and apparently he hasn't allowed a passer rating of over 90 against of any opponent in the last 5 seasons.
So I'm not against DJ Reed, and clearly that goes on. What we're doing with Byron Murphy Jr. might preclude the team from even taking a peek at DJ Reed.
Right.
So if before free agency, the Vikings have the ability to consummate a multi-year deal with Byron Murphy Jr., I think they're going to do that. Now, DJ Reed has proven, and you mentioned it, the stats are unbelievable. I don't know how much of that. Well, he plays out. He's opposite Sauce Gardner, but the flow has to go somewhere, and he has held up almost as well as Sauce Gardner has.
Probably better at certain times.
And typically you'll see the idea that Sauce Gardner is an absolute shutdown. So we're going to push everything offensively away from him if we can. So the other guy just takes L's. I mean, it feels like sometimes if you're the other guy on an NFL team with the Revis Island types, the Patrick Surtain II types, you're just under siege all game. And how do you handle it? DJ Reed handles it at a massively high level. I would love him. He is going to be 20, 21, potentially $22 million a year. Byron Murphy, not that it's a massive pay cut, but he's going to be in that 19, anywhere from 16 and a half to 17 a year, all the way up to 20. So it might just be a financial thing. It's also the guy you know. I would say that if you're, making a deal with Byron Murphy, keeping him in the building, that would be preferred to me financially, and I think the team is leaning in the same direction. But yeah, this is the issue with you do this, and maybe not for your Titans because they're just going to mess it up.
Yeah, 100%.
But don't you kind of dreamweave a little bit? Like you get your shopping list together, and it's like, ooh, Milton. You just saw Milton Williams in the Super Bowl. So you're ready to way overpay. You want to give that guy $15 million a year to be the 3 technique and the fat guy in the middle for the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Like you put the shot. How do we afford all of this?
I have no idea, but maybe a tease for later in the news. There is a way maybe that the Vikings or any team might be able to afford this, considering some of the revenue news that came down over the last 24 hours.
We got to pause and get to Mr. Russo. I love this one though. Text line: Joe and Sartell. PA is gone. Nordo, give us your take on did the Vikings belong in the playoffs? PA is gone.
Like you've been hiding this thing, stashing this take away.
Hey, I don't know if I'll ever escape it, but there is. I know that there's the PA parrot. I get it. I work with PA on a daily basis, have for north of a decade, north of 11 years now, and I get that. Hey, Nordo, you always agree with PA. You're always on the same. I get that. I'll never probably escape that. But I will say that as we've talked about, that those final 2 games for the Vikings meant way more than the previous 16 did. And I asked that question after the Vikings were eliminated. Did we belong there? More in the could we compete with the Eagles? Could we compete with the Rams? My answer to those questions specifically is no. But ultimately, with the 14-win season and how things played out, easy schedule or not, yes, they did belong in the playoffs. But as things showed themselves, as cards were revealed on the table, we were working with a pair, and the Eagles were working with a full house. We aren't ready to ball with the elites of the NFC. So that's where I'm at on that, Joe, because PA's gone. That's Vikes Bites, brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Graze grass-fed beef. Let's catch up on the clock and catch up with Michael Russo. He's out east. USA and Canada tonight. Looking forward to that. The ending of the 4 nations face-off and the ending of the NHL pause. We're going to talk about all that with Russo next, right here on The Fan. Welcome back. Nordo in for PA 9 to noon. Joining me now is Michael Russo of The Athletic, theathletic.com. Follow him at Russo Hockey. How are things shaping up tonight with USA Canada Take 2, Mr. Russo?
Yeah, things are, it's exciting. And I'm shocked. They had a full long practice yesterday in the United States, and they're on the ice now, and pretty much the entire team's out there. The good news is Brady Tkachuk is out there. Brady didn't practice yesterday. Obviously, they said he was under the weather yesterday, but he also got hurt in the game against Sweden. So, the one thing that we've learned this entire tournament is that the Tkachuk brothers, you put them on a line, and they could absolutely wreak havoc out there. And I think you saw it the other night, like when they put in the game against Canada, when they put the Tkachuks out there, or excuse me, Finland, for the first time with Jack Eichel, it's like they dragged Jack into the fight. And the other night against Sweden, Jack Eichel was not able to play with either Tkachuk brother because both were out of the lineup, and Jack wasn't nearly as good. So I just think that if they have their full allotment of players tonight, it's going to be a very different game than we saw the other night against Sweden.
No, I like hearing that. Now, the tourney at large, momentarily, this tourney's been a smash hit, hasn't it? 10 million people I saw watch Saturday's game. There's an allure for the league of exposure. This thing's just been a home run for the NHL and really for the sport in general, hasn't it?
Yeah, I joked the other day to actually the deputy commissioner of the league. I'm like, how do you ever go back to having an all-star weekend? This is. And I think it just shows you the pride of these incredible players. They put on their country's jerseys. It's in a short tournament. and they go all out. And I think that those of us and fans and media that thought that, it wouldn't be an all-star game, but thought that they wouldn't bring this type of intensity that you would see in Olympics. I think that we were all big time mistaken, thankfully, because the product on the ice has been unbelievable. And then, I think that we all, when they set up this round robin schedule a year ago, and we saw that the intoxicating allure of potentially a Canada-U.S. game in the championship, I think this is what we all wanted. And now you see these two teams going at it tonight. It's going to be unbelievable.
Well, and the fallout from this, though, I am curious. You mentioned injuries, Team USA getting healthier, just kind of following your updates from yesterday through now as I speak to you, Mr. Russo. That's a positive thing that they're getting healthy, but I was joking about it earlier in the week. NHL GMs throughout the league sweating. Think about the Panthers and Paul Maurice trying to go back-to-back. They see Kachuk at the end of the bench on Saturday night thinking, are you kidding me with this? So does this feel like a one and done? And just how would they be able to get over that hump of they know these guys are going to go full bore wearing the flag, and that's amazing, but we got to play games and we have a significant investment in these kids too.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the price of doing business, and that's what this is. This is, a big revenue grab for the league, and the reality is that this isn't a one and done. It's a one and done for this format. The hope is that, starting next year with the Winter Olympics in 2026, then they're going to go on a regular schedule every 2 years and essentially, have a World Cup, then Olympics, World Cup, Olympics every 2 years, and they're going to put it in February. They're not going to, right now, obviously the Olympics are going to be in February, but they're going to put the World Cups in February as well. So the reality is that when you get these guys on the ice and you're playing the sport with the type of pace that they have, guys are going to get hurt. That's just inevitable. And so that's what's going to have to, they're going to have to handle and accept. And unfortunately, as you said, I think Matthew Tkachuk is actually going to miss games with Florida after this tournament. I wouldn't be shocked if Sidney Crosby has to miss games for Canada. Obviously McAvoy, but that's what it is. The pace of play has just been tremendous. And I just think what it's done for the sport and putting it to even the casual fans that don't watch the sport, it's been, something that has been a huge success for the NHL to this point.
So how have not just a success from a tournament, but some success maybe for Minnesota Wild-centric players? Boldy and Brock Faber, I've been watching them most intently, just giving Team USA, but Jules Eriksson Ek, Jonas Brodin, Gus Bus, how if Guerin and Hines are looking back at this thing, are they pretty impressed? Are they satisfied with what they've seen from their five guys in this tournament?
Big time. I just chatted with Billy Guerin right here, and he's very, very impressed with what he's seeing, and he's got every right to be. Faber's been outstanding against Canada the other day. Played basically 26 minutes with Jacob Slavin. Boldy's been awesome. Eriksson Ek, I thought, was Sweden's most consistent forward by far, and obviously I think Brodin and Gustafsson, until he got sick, really fared well. Sweden had an unbelievable flu bug that really ran through their locker room, and I think that it hit their entire, both their goalies and their entire team, but the five of them were just outstanding and have been outstanding. And so, Boldy's the one guy that, I think coming in here, there were some people that questioned him being on the team over guys like Tage Thompson and Clayton Keller and Cole Caulfield and Jason Robertson, players like that. And I think that he's ended those talks. I think he's only going to get better with time. And I think that he's going to be an incredible Olympian a year from now.
Just a couple more for you here. Michael Russo, The Athletic, all over this Four Nations face-off, and, of course, the Minnesota Wild and the NHL at large. John Hines, I'm actually going to talk to him around 11:45 today, just to at least mitigate some of the stupidity that I will offer him during that segment. As an assistant coach, what has his role been? How's he been as part of this experience? Kind of balancing the focal point of this international venture, but also he's going to quickly turn the page after tonight and jump back into business with the Red Wings on Saturday. So John Hines, where is he sitting with all of this?
His job is, they've pretty much divvied up the entire responsibilities for all these guys. But it's not like one person's running the power play, one person's running the penalty kill. It's been a true collaborative effort.
Okay.
And Hines has been a huge part of that. He's pretty much, Mike Sullivan's right-hand man on the bench. He's coached so many of these guys too in the international tournaments and, the Austin Matthews of the world and the Jack Eichels. And obviously we know Boldy and Faber and players like that. So he's got previous relationships with them. And we saw earlier in the tournament, it was his 50th birthday, the first day that they had a team meeting or a team dinner in Montreal. And Austin Matthews found out it was his 50th birthday and surprised him with a cake at the end of the meal. And it's because of the previous relationship that he has with them and USA Hockey. So, John's done a really good job. I talked to him for a while yesterday about just how odd it is that practice is resuming in Minnesota and he's here. And he and Boldy and Faber and Guerin and the trainers that are with the Wild too, that are here on the USA Hockey staff, are all actually going to fly commercial on Friday morning and meet the team in Detroit.
Oh, very cool. And this is, I don't want to call it a passion project, but an opportunity. Hines has been somehow connected, whether it's development leagues and such. He's been linked in a bunch of times with Team USA, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he got to start as an assistant coach with USA Hockey with the National Development Program, and actually got a huge extension there, and actually left his job to be an assistant coach with Wilkes-Barre. And he did that because he wanted to be an NHL coach. And I remember talking to Ray Shiro, who's actually one of Billy Guerin's senior advisors, who originally hired him with Tom Fitzgerald with the Pittsburgh Penguins affiliate. And Ray was hesitant at first to hire him because he didn't understand why somebody who just got this huge multi-year extension would want a $75,000 assistant coaching job in the AHL. And after talking to him for 5 minutes, he heard his passion and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool just how John has really worked his way up through USA Hockey to get to this point.
Very last thing for you, and I appreciate your time as always. Wild, mostly healthy. I mean, most of the team is kind of back at home and now practicing and getting ready for the season to resume, save for Kirill, of course, in his situation.
Yeah.
But home-heavy schedule to finish out the regular season. Just got to capitalize, defend the X, and they should be in good shape, right?
Yeah, then that's what they got to do better at. They did enter the break with consecutive home wins, which has not been easy this year for this team.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, to me, it's one of those things where they've got to figure out a way to play better at home and take advantage of that schedule. They really obviously need Kirill back in the lineup. I mean, you're right. They're getting healthier, but that's he is the key. And we still don't really know a true timetable. He obviously had surgery, hasn't been on the ice yet. They're hoping that he's still on the 4 to 5 week range and that he'll be back by the middle of next month, but they're not 100% yet.
Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the festivities out east, and we'll catch you back here in Minnesota.
Yep, see you, buddy.
All right, thank you. That's Michael Russo of The Athletic, and he's out there covering the finale of the Four Nations Face-Off, Team USA and Canada, 7 o'clock. I believe that's on ESPN. Whether this in its current incarnation, probably a one and done, but the ability maybe to expand on this for the league, as I mentioned with Russo, 10 million people watching USA Canada on Saturday night, and big exposure for the league. He referred to it as a money grab with the league, which in some ways it is. But the fact of the matter is people are absolutely loving this. And it's been water in the desert, as I've said, for fans that are looking for something to grip onto while various leagues are on pause. When we return, what's never on pause is the NFL calendar and how things are shaking out for our favorite team. The focal point is as strong as ever. Ben Lieber, weekly guest in studio next, 9 to noon.